Okay, dear students, let us continue with the amendment lecture for May 21, November 21. I will still refer to it as the May 21, it is only postponed. May 21 and November 21. Attempt part 2 of the 100% English version of the lecture. I did realize that in the last 1 minute of the part 1, there was some sound related issue, and thus I will be doing the alternate minimum tax AMT related amendment again. The first one is basically something which I already told you in the introduction part, that any assessee opting for the new taxation regime, alternate minimum tax is not going to be applicable. AMT is not going to be applicable. So this is common in the new taxation regime. BAA, BAB, BAC, BAD, all 4 sections. MAT not applicable for the company related provisions, AMT not applicable for the other assessees. Same. And this also is something that we have already studied, that the CA report has to be now furnished up to the due date of return filing. Nahi, not up to the due date of return filing, but up to the due date of tax audit, which is 30th September, and now these 2 dates are going to be different. These were the amendments of our chapter alternate minimum tax, and this I repeated because of the sound issue in the last 1 minute of the previous part. Let's continue. We are now in our volume 2, that is income tax authorities. First, we have a section 119A, which is a section irrelevant for exam, but it will be very useful for practical applicability of income tax. CBDT will release something called a taxpayers charter. Charter means a set of orders, instructions, directions, guidelines, rules, regulations, which has to be adopted by everyone. Protocol. We will lay down rules and regulations of application of day-to-day work of income tax. CBDT will lay down that charter, and that charter is now going to be used for the day-to-day application and use of income tax law. That's only one small amendment that has taken place in our chapter IT authorities. Nothing of much relevance as far as your exam is concerned. Nothing much or nothing big as far as exam is concerned. Let's go ahead. Chapter number 18, search, seizure and survey. Survey being conducted under 133A. If the information is received from prescribed authority, then the survey can be conducted only by joint commissioner or above joint commissioner. Who is above joint commissioner? Additional CIT. Any person below his rank shall conduct only if he has given approval. So, if there is any information received from a prescribed authority for the purpose of conducting a survey, JCIT will conduct the survey, or the person above JCIT, or if a lower person has to come, he has to take approval from JCIT. And in any other case, if it is from somewhere else, then commissioner or director can conduct the survey. Authority below CIT or DIT can conduct the survey only with the approval of CIT or DIT. So it depends on where the information came from. On that basis, we will decide who will be allowed to conduct the survey. Let's go ahead. Next chapter in our portion, assessment procedure. We are only talking about the changes that have taken place with effect from AY 21-22. There is no explanation of provision. This is strictly on the understanding that you know the law till November 20 attempt. First, already told you, in fact, detailed explanation done in writing in our first part. Due date of return filing for audit cases will now be amended from 30th September to 31st October. So, assessees having audit will now have to get their audit done up to 31st of October. Next, if books of accounts of a firm have been subjected to tax audit, then the due date of the working partner is also 31st October. The new due date, instead of September, we have October. But now we will remove the distinction between working and sleeping. Whether you are working or sleeping partner, for both of them the due dates will be 31st October. So within section 139(1) we have 2 amendments. Amendment number 1, working partner or sleeping partner, both of them will have the due date of audit. If the firm has tax audit, then the partners also will have that same due date 31st October, which itself is the second amendment here. 30th September has become 31st October. So 30th September has become 31st October, and that will apply if the firm has tax audit to all partners, whether working or sleeping. It is going to be 31st of October. Next, in case of LLP and company, any prescribed person can verify the ROI. The designated partner or the managing director may not be available. Then we have this one amendment that has taken place in the section of self-assessment tax, in the section of demand notice, and this has also taken place in TDS chapter. I have to teach you this once. Whenever you are employee of a startup, startups are given in ATIAC. Technology based startup, the company does not have money to give you salary, cash crunch, and therefore they will give you sweat equity, which is ESOP, taxable under perquisite for the employee, receiving employee of the startup. But currently there is no money to pay. The company does not have money, the employee does not have money. So we are going to postpone collection of tax. This is similar to your cases of compulsory acquisition or conversion of capital asset into stock in trade under capital gain. That the income has arisen in 1 year, but because you don't have money right now, we will postpone it to a future year. In case of compulsory acquisition, we take tax when you receive money. In case of conversion of capital asset into stock in trade, we take tax when you sell your stock in trade. The same rule will apply here. When the ESOP is allotted to you, income will arise, but we will not take tax. You don't need to pay SA tax. We will not send you demand notice. In TDS, employer does not have to deduct TDS at the time of allotment. The payment has to be made within a period of 14 days from 48 months from the end of the relevant assessment year. That means if your previous year is 2021, your assessment year is 21-22, from here 48 months you don't need to pay tax. Income has arisen right now, but pay tax after 48 months. That's a period of, I think, 4 years. Yes, from assessment year 4 years, that means from previous year 5 years, don't pay tax. Income has arisen, but don't pay tax because right now you don't have money. There is cash crunch. So we will take tax from you in the future year when you will have money. But is it possible during this period you have sold the sweat equity, then you have cash, you pay tax? Or it is possible that you have left the job, ceases to be employed. Out of these three, whichever is earliest, on that basis, within a period of 14 days. So, whenever you are employee of a startup and you have been allotted sweat equity shares, don't pay tax right now. When will you pay tax? In a future year. Which future year? If you leave the job, that year. If you sell the ESOP, that year. Or 48 months from assessment year. Out of these three events, whichever is the earliest, from that event, we will calculate 14 days for self-assessment tax also, for demand notice also, for duty of employer to deduct TDS also, we will be counting it that. Okay. We will now be having e-assessment, that is faceless assessment for 144 also along with 143.3, but this whole thing is still under question mark. The government is still not sure. They have started faceless, but they are still not sure whether they will continue or discontinue in the coming days. In the future attempts, things will become a little more clear. As of now, you can ignore that part without any worry. And now, last amendment in assessment procedure chapter is when you approach the dispute resolution panel under section 144C, it shall include non-resident or foreign company. Similar to 115A. Who can approach DRP? Foreign company or other than company, any non-resident. So, non-resident individual, non-resident HOF, non-resident firm, non-resident LLP, foreign company. They can approach the dispute resolution panel under 144C. These were the amendments of your chapter assessment procedure. Let's go ahead. Next, CIT appeals will also be an e-appeal team based jurisdiction to bring, technology. Here we will bring transparency, efficiency, accountability, eliminate the interface between the department and the assessee, etc., etc. Basically, e-assessment will now be followed by e-appeal. Faceless assessment will be followed by faceless appeal. And second amendment, small amendment, that ITAT has the power to grant stay of recovery. 180 days, extendable up to 365 days. Only if you deposit at least 20% of the disputed amount. So, supposingly, 5 lakh is the tax liability according to the assessee. That you have to pay because it is undisputed. Otherwise, you cannot go to CIT appeals also. But 8 lakh was your tax as per the AO. Then the 3 lakh, which is the amount in dispute, of the disputed amount, you have to pay at least 20%. Then only your appeal at ITAT will be entertained. Otherwise, your appeal at ITAT will not be entertained. So, deposit 20% of the disputed amount. Revision chapter, no amendment. Settlement commission, advance ruling, tonnage tax scheme, no amendment. There is an amendment in penalties chapter. There is a newly introduced section 271AAD, which is basically a case of concealment. We will discuss this in detail. But before I take you to the second amendment, we all remember section 273B. No penalty if there is reasonable cause for default. No penalty if there is reasonable cause for default. It is not available for 270A under reporting misreporting, 271 AAB surge cases, 271 AAC that is penalty for 115 BBE unexplained cash credits, and 271 AAD also being a case of concealment. 271 AAD also being a case of concealment, no facility of 273B will be available. So now you cannot give reasonable cause for 271 AAD also, which is a newly introduced section. What is this? Whenever you have passed any false entry or there is any omitted entry, false entry or omitted entry, they have defined, don't worry, what is the meaning of false entry or omitted entry, but the penalty will be equal to the amount of such false or omitted entry, that is 100% penalty is going to get attracted. And any person who has supported that such person who has passed the false entry or omitted entry, who, if the other person causes that false or omitted entry, then that person also shall be liable for penalty. Whenever we pass accommodation entries, like supposingly I tell you that I want professional fees check, give me check, I will give you cash. You want to show expense, I want to show income. So what do? We exchange the money in check and then return in cash. Any kind of accommodation entries, both parties will be liable for 100% penalty. Both parties. Let's say any forged or falsified document such as a false invoice, a false piece of documentary evidence, fake purchase bill, especially after GST or GST 1-to-1 matching, these false invoices are getting caught. 100% penalty on the buyer as well as a seller. Invoice in respect of receipt or supply, both are covered. Of goods or service, purchase or sale, both covered. Issued by the person or any other person without actual supply. This is what I was talking about. Give me professional fees check, I will give you cash. Give me interest check, I will give you cash. Actual transaction has not taken place. We are only showing them because one person wants to show income, other person wants to show expense. The chartered accountant acts as an agent between the two. He takes commission from both. From the person who wants to show income, from the person who wants to show expense. Expense person for reducing tax, income person maybe for some loan purposes. And CA acts as a mediator between the two, gets commission from both places. Both people will be now liable for 100% penalty, or any transaction with a person who does not exist. There are a lot of people who are doing this also. All these cases are now going to be liable for penalty. Are we all clear on this? So this is your 271 AAD. False entry or omitted entry, 100% penalty on the person who did it and the person who supported. And the reasonable cause facility also is not going to be available. Next, we have a newly introduced penalty 271K, which is drastically not same, but I would rather say similar to section 271H. So, sir, what is 271H? If you don't file your TDS, TCS returns on time, minimum 10,000, maximum 1 lakh penalty. And plus you have 234E fees, 200 rupees per day maximum to the extent of TDS, TCS amount. Similarly, before I tell you about what this is, let me tell you your annual financial statement, that is your Form 26AS, which again I will be talking about in this next chapter 285BB. Your Form 26AS has undergone huge change. Till last year, it was going to show, or it was showing only, your advanced tax TDS maximum that much. But now your Form 26AS will show all types of financial transactions. If we got any DTAA information from you, from a foreign country about you, we will show that in your Form 26AS. Any pending or completed assessments, we will show in Form 26AS. Of course, your TDS advanced tax, we will show in Form 26AS. If you have paid any money to any charitable trust as a donation, to any scientific research association, any company doing scientific research, where you are eligible for 80G deduction or 35 deduction if it is a case of scientific research. If it is trust, it will be 80G. If it is scientific research, it will be section 35. You are getting deduction. So it will be the duty of that association, college, university, which was referred to in section 35, or the company which is referred to in this section, or the trust under 80G to furnish a statement. This is same as TDS. The payer furnishes the statement of TDS and the payee gets the credit in Form 26AS. So we are able to do the matching. Payer will deposit money, file the return, payee will get the benefit by reflecting in 26 as. Same thing will happen now in case of your donations. Donation to trust, donation to scientific research association, social science research association, company doing scientific research. These receivers, the trust, the association, the company, they will have to file a statement showing particulars about the donor. And once they file the statement, that amount will automatically reflect in the form 26AS of the donor. Automatically it will get reflected in the form 26AS of the donor. Automatically. 1-to-1 matching, same as TDS. And the penalty is also same. Minimum 10,000, maximum 1 lakh. And same lines they have introduced fees. That was 234E, 200 rupees per day. And this will be 234G, 200 rupees per day. That was also maximum to the extent of TDS, TCS amount. This will also be to the maximum to the extent of amount in default. Fees part we will study in the interest chapter, which will come later. Here we will only study the penalty part. If the statement is not filed within the prescribed time, minimum 10,000 and maximum 1 lakh penalty on the college, association, university. The moment they file the statement, very easily we will be able to give the deduction to the donor. It will become a little easy for us to do so. And lastly, last amendment here, we now have an e-scheme for the purpose of levy of penalty. So everything we want to convert into electronic, faceless, assessment converted, appeal converted, CIT appeals, penalty also converted. Next year onwards, ITAT is also becoming faceless. Next year. Okay. So that was your chapter of penalties. As far as our miscellaneous provisions chapter is concerned, one small amendment about which I already told you. The small amendment is that your form 26AS will undergo drastic changes. It is now going to contain all this information: TDS, TCS, financial transaction, taxes, refund, foreign agreement related information related received about you. All this information will cover, and will be covered in form 26AS. We are going to change the name. This is now going to be called your annual financial statement. The new form 26AS. Okay. And small other amendment in 288 that assessee may authorize any other prescribed person to be his authorized representative. Till now, there were some people like employee, relative, accountant, that is CA holding, COP, etc. Any other prescribed person can also now get covered over here. That was our chapter, miscellaneous provisions. TDS has got a huge number of amendments. So we will continue TDS in the next part.